Welcome to Excel 2013. Let's begin by trying to create a basic graph. Let's type in cat, dog, bird into these cells. So this is cell A1, column A, column B, column C. Columns run up and down, whereas rows run from left to right. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, etc. So let's type in, let's say, 7 people like cats, and we'll say 12 people like dogs, and 3 people like birds. So let's highlight these cells. Click on cell A1 and hold down the left mouse button. Drag out your mouse to the bottom right. So we're highlighting all these cells. And now let's go to Insert. And let's go to the first chart, which should be a column chart. Click on that, and we'll just choose the first one. So congratulations, you now have successfully created a chart. And what we'll do is we will change the chart title. I'm going to double click the chart title. You might have to just click a couple times more. And I'm going to type in favorite pet. Notice how as soon as you create your graph, there's this design. We're right now inside the design tab. There's this thing called quick layout. In Excel 2013, quick layout, what we can do is we can actually choose the layout that we like, and I like this one here, layout 9, and choose it, and we can see that we can actually add more titles. For example, on the side I can write votes, and on the bottom I don't actually want it, so if you click off of it and you click on it once, you can press delete. And series 1, I don't want that either. I can click on it once and press delete. Alright, and you can right click the actual chart, right click, and go to, you could change the format, and you can just play around with some of the formatting. You could change the fill. So for example, if I change the solid fill to a certain color, yellow, and this is not advisable, it is possible to change the actual fill. Furthermore, we can add some borders. If I were to choose a solid line and choose the color to be black, for example, you can see that we have some opportunity to change the format options. So if I chose a width, changes to 5, press enter, you can actually notice that the chart now has a thickness of 5. So you can just play around with these different formattings, and you can even round the corners. Just click on that. And this is not very pretty, but it just goes to show you that you can play with the color settings. So congratulations, you now know how to create a basic chart. My advice is when you actually create a chart, just be careful. Do not do the following. Do not accidentally have empty columns or empty rows, or do not accidentally highlight too much. Just highlight what you need and you should be fine. Let's practice copying, cutting, and pasting in Excel 2013. Begin by typing in some information. Highlight the information that you want to copy. Press Ctrl C. Alternatively, you can right-click and copy. And then click on the area that you want to paste the information to. Press Ctrl V. Alternatively, you can also press right-click and then paste. So let's try something else here. Ctrl Z to undo. You can even copy entire rows or columns. So if I select column B, I can right-click copy or Ctrl C, and then I can paste it here, Ctrl V, to copy an entire column or row. Let's press Ctrl Z to undo. Press Escape to get rid of this copied selection. Now let's try cutting. What if we want to cut these 4 cells? Ctrl X cuts. But what does that mean? It means that you're copying these 4 cells, and then we're going to paste it here, Ctrl V, but because we cut it, it's going to cut it out from here, and we're going to paste it over here. So cutting essentially copies it, then deletes it after the fact. Okay, let's try one last thing here. we're going to go to some random website and we're going to copy the text from the internet. So I'm just going to right click, copy from the internet. And when you go to Excel, if you right click and choose the first paste option, notice how we're going to keep all the internet formatting. So you get hyperlinks, you get blue text, white text. You might want to Control Z or Control Z to undo that. Let's right click, paste with the second option, which matches the destination formatting. So this might be easier to deal with and work with if you wanted to match the theme of your Excel workbook. So in summary, you can copy by using the keyboard shortcut Control C. You can cut by pressing Control X, and you can paste by pressing Control V. You could think of the letter V like some kind of arrow pointing downwards, where you're pasting it, you're plopping it down to the ground. And you can think of the letter X as some scissors, where you're cutting something. Congratulations, you now have more experience with copying, cutting, and pasting. Let's practice some order of evaluation precedence in Excel 2013. So the idea here is that just like math class a long time ago, we have this idea of PEDMAS. Parenthesis comes first, exponent comes second, division, multiplication, addition, and finally subtraction. So sometimes we call this BEDMAS instead of parenthesis. It's the same thing as the idea of a bracket. What do we mean by this? When we click into a cell and we use a formula, equals, and this is a way to test somebody and stump them and make fun of them, equals 2 plus 2 times 2. If you ask someone, what does Excel evaluate 2 plus 2 times 2? Someone might quickly say 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. And you would say, wrong, you fail. Actually, what happens here is we have 2 times 2, star means multiply, is evaluated first because multiplication is higher than addition. So we have 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6. So when I press enter, we get the answer 6. This is useful for troubleshooting in case you have some incorrect formula. You want to know what's going on. It's important to understand that PEDMAS or BEDMAS is always in play. What if we go to the formula bar here and add some parentheses? We stick some parentheses around the 2 plus 2, and you can see that parentheses has the greatest power, so therefore this is evaluated before the multiplication. 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So now when I press enter, ta-da, we have 8. This is good to know. So what else do we have here? We have exponents. If I say 2, and that's a little caret symbol, if I press shift the number 6, you get this symbol. 2 to the exponent 3, so that means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. If I say equals 2 to the exponent 3, enter, don't forget the equal sign, we get 8. What about division? If I type in what is equals 5 divided by 3, press enter, we get a decimal number from dividing. The forward slash is dividing, and if you don't like this many decimal places, in the Home tab in Excel, you can just hit this little button called Decrease Decimal. That's a fast way of decreasing it, and you can see that Excel automatically rounded the number 0.666 up to the number 7. So remember that in life there are priorities. PEDMAS. Parentheses are more important than exponent, and division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. In the same way how when you are going to get certified, for example, the Moss Office certification, I would argue that Excel is one of the more useful certifications. Let's practice some formulas in Excel. We type in some information here relating to bills, mortgage, gas, groceries, etc. And we type in some numbers. Now what if we want to insert some rows? Right-click the actual number. I right-click row 1, go to Insert. Let's try that again. Right click, insert, and I'm going to just add a nice title here, bills. So we typed in bills, press enter. Notice how we can right click a column and go to insert, and this also inserts a column. Okay, so we just went right click, insert a column, and you can see it pushes the columns over to the right. Similarly, you can go right click, delete columns. In fact, you can even highlight multiple columns and right click, delete them together. Okay, so now that we know how to kind of fix up our mistakes, we can just add up this amount here. Let's click on the cell below all the amounts. I'll just call this total, and let's actually figure this out here. The fastest way to figure out the total would be to just click on this auto sum button within the home tab, the sigma symbol. I'm going to click on auto sum, and you can see that if I press enter, it automatically has the sum. You can even highlight this these two cells and go to click on the letter B, which is bold. Control B is the shortcut. Now let's try that one more time. Let's press delete. So we deleted the contents of our cell. Click on auto sum. Notice how there's a formula here. The formula is a very powerful feature of Excel. It's the idea where Excel is a super duper powerful calculator. Not only can you create graphs, you can also calculate values used by accountants quite often. So here we have equals sum B3 colon B9. What does that mean? Sum is the name of a formula that actually adds a bunch of numbers. When we say B3, this is column B, row 3. So we're talking about this specific cell that has the value 1500. If you've ever played Battleship, B3, and then you hit the spot here until we sink someone's battleship. What about B9? B is column B, row 9 is over here. So we're talking about the cell that has the value 75. So the colon, the two dots, if you press shift semicolon near the letter L, it basically means all the way towards. So from B3, we're going to sum up, or we're going to add up all the numbers from here, including the endpoints, from 1500, add up all these numbers, including 75. And so this is the way the formula works. You type in equal. This is a common mistake. People forget to put the equal sign. Once you type in equals, you can actually type in sum B3 to B9. Press enter. Now let me try it again. Let me delete it. You don't have to press these buttons. If you know the formula, you could just type in using your keyboard equals S. Notice how there's many different functions with the letter S, but we remember the word sum, S-U-M, bracket, and notice how Excel tries to help you. You can just type in a series of numbers, but as long as you remember that the opening bracket, just a regular bracket, shift 9, that's the bracket, you can actually click with your left mouse button and drag out the range. This is probably a more reliable method, although it's nice to understand what these B3, B9, colon B9 means. It's probably more accurate to just drag it out using your mouse and then press enter. You don't even have to close this last closing bracket. It's optional. Press enter. So congratulations, you now know how to do a basic formula dealing with adding numbers up, which is the sum formula.
Welcome to Excel 2013. I'm going to warm you up on some basic tasks. You can even Google basic tasks in Excel 2013 and you should find a website, Microsoft's official website, which guides you through some of the ideas today. So to create a new workbook, we're going to go to File, click on the File tab here, and go to New. You can even press Control N. And then click on the blank workbook. And you can see a new book opens up. And what I've done here is I've made these cells larger. So I'm going to show you how to do that. These are a little bit small for the video, so I'm going to just move this window over by clicking on the top here, dragging it over, and clicking on this nice X button here to close it. So that's gone. Now, how in the world did I get these cells, these little tiny boxes, bigger? What I did is I highlighted these columns. In fact, you can highlight all the columns by clicking on this top corner here. This top corner here actually highlights everything. In fact, you can even press Control A to highlight everything. With everything selected, I'm going to right-click the column and choose column width. What I have here is a column width of 15. That's how it became nice and wide. And you can even change the row. If I right-click the numbers here, the row height, for example, can be even set to, let's say, 50. Click on O, press Enter. You can see that the rows are much taller and these cells are nice and big. If you press Ctrl Z, you can undo what you just did and come back to the way you were. Alright, so we have this nice new workbook. Okay, say you had 3 businesses. We'll just call this Business A. Enter. We'll call this Business. You can even click up here in the formula bar. Business B and Business C. You can see that this text here, Business ABC, is a little bit past column A. It actually cuts into column B. Columns run up and down. And to fix that very quickly, just double click between A and B. You can see that the column automatically adjusts. If you click in between columns, you can see this nice double arrow. Click hold and you can make it wider as well as you can make it smaller. But the fast way to do it is just to double click between A and B. Pow. You can see right away, you can see this is a nice column width. We'll say your first business made $20,000 a year, and your second business made $100,000, and your third business made, we'll just say, $40,000. Now, if you want to find the sum of a bunch of numbers, which is very useful, especially when you're adding up amounts, you can click on this cell here below these other numbers and click on the auto sum button. This here is the sigma notation. It means you're adding numbers up. I'm just going to click on auto sum. Pow. You can see by default we have the formula equals sum B1. This is column B. They run up and down. Row 1 colon, which means all the way until B3, which is column B, row 3. Press Enter. So you can see here the sum is 160,000. Also notice how the formula here is in the formula bar, equals sum B1 colon B3. Press Escape if you ever accidentally make a mistake. You can see that everything is normal. You can even click on this nice cell, press Delete. And if we really wanted to, you can even type in the formula directly. Equals sum bracket, click, drag all the way down. This is the range of information that we want to add up. You can even have a closing bracket here. This is optional, you don't even have to do that. And press Enter. So what we've done here is we've used a formula to find the sum of these 3 numbers. Let's press Delete and try it one more time. Rather than memorizing the formula with the equal sign, I'm just going to click on this nice sigma button called Auto Sum. If you hit the nice drop down box, you can even see, you can find the average and other things as well. So right now we're interested in the sum, so we're just going to hit that button and press Enter. Let's finish off this basic task in Excel 2013 with one last idea. The idea of a simple formula. We can type in equals 2 plus 3. Can you guess the result? 2 plus 3 is 5. So Excel here, besides all the pretty graphs, it is known as a super duper powerful calculator. So when we type into the formula bar equals 2 plus 3, the result is 5. I'm going to click over here in this cell, C6. I'm going to type in equals 7 minus 1. Can you guess what the result's going to be when I press Enter? If you guess 6, great job. Let's try clicking over here on F3. Equals 3 times 2. Star means times. This is the asterisk symbol. It's commonly used in computers as the multiplication symbol. equals 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Very good. So let's click over here on cell E7 equals 9 divided by 2. What's going to happen? I'm going to press enter. And yes, if you guessed 4.5, that's what we got. Excellent job. Alright, let's finish off this video by tricking you. I'm going to type in equals 2 plus 2 star 2. What's the result? If you said 8, that's wrong. Remember, Excel is a calculator. It respects math rules. And the math rules is that you need to multiply before you add. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 should be 6. Press enter. And this is awesome. We have 6. Stay tuned for the next video. Welcome to Basic Tasks in Excel 2013 Part 2. And just a friendly reminder that you can download the internet version of this official document by Googling Basic Tasks in Excel 2013 from Microsoft's website. So where we left off here, we're going to clean up this little mess here. I'm going to highlight these informations by clicking and dragging. I'm going to press delete. I'm going to highlight this and press delete. And we want to apply a nice number format to our different money amounts here. So I'm going to delete the sum as well. We don't need that. Or actually we'll leave it Control Z or Control Z. Let's highlight this money amounts, these money amounts, and we're going to click on this nice Home tab, this button that says General under the number section. I'm going to change the number format. And you can change it to currency. And you can see that we have nice dollar amounts, including the cents, with a nice dollar sign there. And if we change these numbers to the format called accounting, you can see that all the nice dollars and cents, they line up so that you can make less mistakes. Okay, going to continue on here making a nice table. I'm going to type in rain in centimeters, and we have a dirt in cell E2. Going to click down here. I'm going to type in some numbers. I could type in 4, 6, 8. We'll just make up some random numbers here. But you're going to use autofill to do this quickly. So I'm going to press delete here. I'm going to highlight the first two numbers, 4 and 6. And you know what? I want this to be centered. So I'm going to just highlight column D and E. And I'm going to actually apply this formatting to the entire two columns. I'm going to choose center here. This is center your text. There we go. That's really nice. And I'm going to use autofill. I'm going to highlight these first two numbers. I'm going to hover my mouse to the bottom right corner until you see a black plus sign. This is called autofill. I'm going to click, drag, and you can see that pow. Excel is pretty smart. It knows that we need to jump by 2s. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Excellent. And of course you can't use autofill where there is no pattern. We'll just say that the more it rains, the less the dirt there is. So let's just choose the dirt. Let's just say there is 120 units. And we'll just say the dirt goes down by 5, so 115. And if this list was very long, this would take a long time to type in. So I'm going to highlight these first two numbers. I'm going to move my mouse to the bottom right corner. There's a black plus sign, drag all the way down, and there's a nice autofill counting down, pow, really quickly. Okay, so now for one of Excel 2013's new feature, I'm going to highlight this information. You can see this nice colorful box in the bottom right corner. It's called the Quick Analysis tool. Click on it. And this is just another way of doing things. You can see that they have the formatting where you can just change the use data bars and use color scales. But what we're going to do here is we want to find some totals. So we're going to click on totals, and there's some common things we use, such as finding the sum. You can see that we add up all the rain and all the dirt amounts, so we can find the average. And you can even have some charts here. So these are the recommended charts. This is a nice dirt chart. You can see how it's going down. And there's even this option to choose the table. So I'm going to just choose this nice table here, click on it. And this quick analysis button here is not absolutely necessary, as you can find all these individual things up in the menu bar anyways, in the ribbon. Just another way of doing things. So that now that we have a table, notice these little drop down boxes. We have rain, and right now it's going from small numbers, little rain, to lots of rain. So I'm going to click on this. You can even sort it from, rather than from smallest to largest, from largest to smallest. So now you can see there's a lot of rain, and then it gets lesser and lesser. And it has an inverse relationship to the amount of dirt. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. And in fact, you can even hide certain amounts. So if you want to hide the amount of dirt when there's 6 and 8 centimeters of rain, I'm going to click on this little box here. I'm going to unclick this checkbox, 6 and 8. Click on OK. We're essentially hiding this information. So it's not deleted, which is nice in case you have some important customer or student records and you don't want to delete the student permanently, but you can always get it back by unhiding it. Click on this nice little box here. Click on the checkboxes, 6, 8. Ta-da, and we have them back. Okay, so now let's type in student ABC. I'm going to double click between G and H to make this a bit wider. Let's give some grades. Let's highlight this table again. After typing in test 1, test 2, we have 70, 60, 90, and you remember how to center these. You can always highlight this actual data and then choose center. And what we're going to do with this table is we're going to use this quick analysis tool, and lots of things are here. I'm going to use the color scale option. So you can see that when we click on this, you can get a visual representation of who's doing well. Now, of course, if you want some more options, I would use conditional formatting, as this conditional formatting would allow you to have some more choices as to how these colors work. Okay, so it's always a good idea to save your work. So let's go to File, Save, and you would save it somewhere to your computer. So for example, you click on Computer, you can save it to your SkyDrive, you can browse for the correct folder, and you can even click on Desktop and save it somewhere with an appropriate file name that you'll remember. I'm going to click on Cancel, press Escape if you want. Alternatively, to save, you can press Ctrl S, or click on this nice little floppy disk button over here. And let's finish off this video by refreshing ourselves on a taste of how to print. We're going to go to File, Print, or Control P, File, Print, and you can see what happens here depending on your printer that you have. You'll see a nice print preview, and we're on page 1. On page 1 it's going to look like this with the rain here, and you hit this little nice arrow here, next page, and you can see here this is the second page. And you have a number of options here, and one major option is whether you want your paper in portrait orientation, which runs up and down, or landscape, which is sideways. And if you choose landscape, then you will be able to squeeze in some more information on page 1. I'm going to leave this on portrait, and just want you to pay attention to what's going to happen here. We have the rain here at the end of page 1. I'm going to press Escape. And what's happening here in Excel is you have this nice dotted line. This nice dotted line gives you a hint of where it's going to cut off on the page. So you can see this here is going to be page 1, and this here is going to be page 2. Okay, so excellent job on learning the basics of Excel. Hope you stick around and watch some more videos. And thanks for subscribing.
Let's practice some basic formatting in Excel. Notice how you can click on a cell and change the color here, the fill color. Hit the little drop down arrow box there, and let's change it to yellow. So we can make a cell yellow, and we can change the color to other colors as well. You can actually highlight multiple cells by dragging and then changing the fill color of multiple cells on one shot. The letter A here, this refers to the actual foreground color, the color of the text. This is the font color. We already did bold before. This is italicize, underline, much like Microsoft Word. And let's try highlighting a range of cells and try to hit the drop down box here, and you can see there's some borders. So whether you want to add a bottom border, the bottom border is good for accounting. Let's press Ctrl Z to undo. You can even add a thick box border. So this is very useful. Let's try something else here. We can actually highlight a group of cells and we can go clear. We can clear the formats, the contents. I'm going to clear all. This looks like an eraser and you can clear things. Notice how you can actually click on a row. Say I click on row 2, I can right click row 2 and change the row height. If I want to change the row height from 26 to say 50, you can see it's a lot bigger. So what's interesting here is that you can actually click and drag, highlight multiple rows, and go right click, row height, and I can type in 10, press enter. You can see we have changed the format of the row height of multiple rows all at the same time. In fact, we can do the same with columns. You can highlight multiple columns, right click, change the column width, and change this to 10. And if you want to make changes to your entire spreadsheet, what we do here is you click in the top left corner here, and this highlights the entire spreadsheet. And we can actually then hover over to the columns and go right click, column width. Let's change this to 20, and then right click any of the rows while the whole spreadsheet is actually highlighted, and change the row height. So we want a universal height of say 15. And there we go, we actually have that. And what if you don't want 15? We want 30. And we have made changes to the entire spreadsheet. You can highlight everything, and you can even add borders to everything, all borders. And you can see there's borders everywhere. Press Ctrl Z to undo. You can actually color several cells as we talked about, or you can even add color. So if I click on the number 2 and then choose the fill color, you can see that we add color to the entire row off to very far column. So after Z is AA, AB, AC, AD, and this pattern continues as far as you most likely need. And you can go down very far as well, and that's the story. So hopefully this video gave you a short introduction to formatting. There's so many other things we can talk about, but let's just end the video now, and congratulations, you now know how to do some basic formatting. Let's practice some more formatting in Excel 2013. So we begin by highlighting multiple cells and clicking on Merge and Center. So when you click on the button here, Merge and Center, notice how these 9 cells are now treated as one cell. So you can make a nice flag here even if you wish. If I just Merge and Center again, and if I type in top and then bottom, you can just color these using the fill tool here. You have the color yellow, and now we have the color green. It looks like some kind of flag of the world. You can highlight both cells and click on the little drop down box here in the Home tab, thick box border, and this looks like a flag. Now let's click on one of the cells here, the top one, and notice how in terms of alignment it is centered. But keep in mind there's something called middle align. Middle align actually allows you to center vertically. So if I left justify, I can right align, I can even center it, and I can even top align or bottom align. I can center align. So this is something that you might come in handy in terms of formatting things. Alright, let's highlight these cells, press delete. You can clear these, clear everything here. So now it's back to the way it was before. The little eraser button is useful for clearing things. And so let's try to do some more stuff here. If I type in 79.99, let me make that a bit bigger for you. Press type in 20 there. So we have 79.99. If you click on a number or a range of cells, I'm clicking on that one cell. Notice how we can press the little accounting number format, the dollar sign here, which adds a little nice dollar sign, as well as it kind of right aligns it. So if I type in 199.99, and I'm going to apply this size 22 to my entire worksheet by clicking on this top left corner here, highlight everything, click on type in 20, press enter. So if I highlight the entire worksheet and click on the little accounting dollar sign symbol, everything here is now dealing with numbers, and the decimals line up nicely. This is good for adding up values. Now what if I were to undo that? So let me just clear everything, clear all. So now we're back to the way we were before. I do like that size 20 font. What if we type in .43, or we'll talk about baseball. We'll just type in .304, which is a great batting average. You want to convert that to a percentage, just click on the percentage button here, and now you can see it's 30%. So if I type in some number here, such as 1,000, and this is 30%, this is actually 0.3, and then I can actually write down here equals this number times this percentage, which is actually 0.3, enter, and you can see it's 304. Notice how if you look very carefully at this percentage, it's actually in the formula bar 30.4%, but because this percentage button here is rounded to the nearest percent, you only see 30%. However, if you actually hit this button here, increase decimal, and then you can actually see the additional decimal places. So it's nice that Excel actually keeps the decimals that you don't see and computes those so that you have more accuracy. Let's say you know Excel so well that you have so much time left over in your day and you're bored and you want to make your spreadsheet very pretty. I'll just show you something fun. I'm going to right click the actual row number here, right click row 1. Let's make the row height, let's change it from 26 to, let's say, 10. It's very skinny. And then I will make this one row height 10 as well. And then I'll make these two rows. I'm going to highlight both rows at the numbers, right click row height. Let's make these 10 as well. Let's try something fun. I'm going to click on the number 3, which highlights the entire row up to infinity. So right click, I'm going to actually merge and center these. So now this is actually completely going on to infinity. Even if I move to the right here, in my little ABCDs, all these columns are going past the Z to, or Z to AA, AB, AC. This is centered to infinity, therefore we will never see what the center text will look like. So I'm gonna left align this, and I'm gonna type in hello, some beautiful title. Okay, so make sure you don't merge and center it. If you center it, then you'll never see it because it goes on to infinity. Anyways, let's left align that and change the color. I'm just gonna leave the color, let's say, light blue. And because we have so much time in our hands, let's right click row 2, change the color of the fill to, we'll say, I'll just say dark gray. So just choose this dark gray in this corner. Let's do the same with 4, and we'll go to the fill color. We'll change dark gray, just have some symmetry here. Oops, highlight that, hit this little paint bucket sign, and then on row 1 I'm going to click that and make this a lighter gray. So the idea of using some kind of like shading can look very nice. Let me just choose a little bit darker color there. How is that one there, the second one? So I choose row 5 and hit that same color, and you can see this can be quite beautiful depending on how much you play around with this. You can even bold the font, and sometimes people have some pretty fancy dancy spreadsheets because they play around with and try to make things pretty. Let's highlight a couple of cells here and practice a little bit more. I'm going to right click, go to Format Cells. Notice how you can play around with these settings here. There's a nice fill color. You can try some fill effects here. For example, if I choose the idea of a gradient from one color to another. This is a fill effects. You can choose your actual color. So from white to blue ends up in having some kind of nice gradient effect. And you can choose which one you want. You can even choose diagonal type colors. Click on OK. And then OK. And you can see that we even have some nice gradient type effects. Interesting. Let's highlight these 6 cells and try some more. Right click Format. And let's try Border. And say you want to get all fancy dancy, you want to choose a nice double line, which is useful for accounting. And if you actually click on outline, you can see it applies it to all of these, the edges of these cells. Click on OK. And you can see there's a nice double outline here. Let's try it again. Let's right click Format. And something interesting to note is if you want to get rid of it, you need to click on None first. And then if you just want to apply to the bottom, choose the bottom option. So therefore, we're selecting these 6 cells. When you choose None and then you choose the bottom option and click on OK. So we click OK. And then you will see that the double line has been applied to those cells. Alright, so hopefully you had some more good practice with formatting. You now have the ability to make your Excel spreadsheets a lot more pretty. Now be careful, don't get too good at Excel, because then with all that free time, people will keep asking you for help, and therefore you won't really be saving any time at all. Let's take a moment to focus on number formatting in Excel 2013. So we begin by typing in a number into a cell. I'll just type in 12.34, press enter, and what you should see is a simple 12.34, and what we're on is the general number format. However, if you press this button here in the Home tab called, looks like a $sign, this here is an accounting number format. We see here that there's a $sign, and if I type in some more values such as 199.99, enter, I can actually apply the number format to a group of cells or the entire column. If I click on B, I click on column B, and then I click on this little $sign here, and you see that we have the accounting number format applied to this entire column B, and everything is nice and aligned. Accountants love that. They like to see that where the decimals are lined up, and we have pennies over here on the right. Now sometimes as we're typing in some other information here, I'm just going to type in some random numbers here. We don't necessarily always want that $sign there. So this is where you highlight some cells and you say, I don't want accounting number format. I want this to be, hit the drop down box, general. Or if you don't want this to be treated as a number, sometimes you want to force it to be treated as text. So you can choose text here. And of course you can center text and do various things. But again, if you like the accounting format, click that $sign. If you don't like that $sign symbol, hit this little comma style. So hit the comma style button here, and you can see there's no $sign. It still lines numbers up, but we no longer have the $sign. Alright, so let me just delete all this. I can press delete after highlighting. I can click on the column B, and I can change the formatting to general once again. Now what if I type in the number 0.88? 0.88, what is that? As a percentage, if I click on this percent style button or Control Shift percent sign, I'm just going to click on here, this button here. 0.88 means 88%. So if I have a number here, maybe the number is 2000, and this is 88%. You can actually find out what 88% of 2000 is by saying equals this amount here. I'm clicking on A4, multiplied by this percentage, B4. Press enter. You can see that 88% of 2000 is 1760. We no longer have to write this as 0.88. So 88%. That's nice to know that we have that. Okay, so I'm gonna revert this percentage. Let me just delete this, delete this. Gonna make this percentage back to a number. You can just treat it as a number or general. I'll make it a number this time. And I'm going to change this number to 3.141592654. And what happened here? Numbers by default, right now it's set at 2 decimal places. And some of you might know this as the number pi. But if we actually hit the increase decimal button here, you can get additional digits of pi. And we notice that this here is actually rounded. So the 3.14159, if you decrease the decimals, it becomes a 6 instead of a 5 because we automatically have rounding. So you can see there's a number of different formats. There's currency counting. There's even dates. So you can even stick in some dates there, times. You can even represent numbers as fractions. So it's interesting how this can be written as 3 and 1/7, and it changes as you play around with the values. And scientific text, there's even more number formats. So if you choose more number formats, it takes you to this Format Cells window. Now if I alternatively right click, you can also go to Format Cells, and you can see you can do a lot of the same things, perhaps with additional options. If you just take a look at this, go through these options here, and you can even choose some custom formatting as well. Notice that as you right click Format Cells, you can also play around with the alignment, which refers to the angle of the actual text. So we have this, let me just change this back to a decimal number here. Let's make this a number, and we want to show 2 decimal places is fine. I'm going to right click Format Cells. We can actually change the angle and alignment. You can make it 26 degrees, click on OK, and you have this diagonal. Let's press Ctrl Z or Ctrl Z to undo. You can even click on this button here, which is orientation, and change the angle. Right now this is going by 45 degrees, but once again, if you right click Format, you can do even more things, and it's really for you, it's up to you to play around with it. You can choose a certain angle, you can go crazy with the fonts, the borders, the fills, and you can have lots of fun with this. So hopefully you found this tutorial insightful. You can really spruce up your document by applying some nice formatting. Here in Excel 2013, let's learn about personalizing the environment using the Backstage. So our Backstage is the File tab. If I click on the File tab, our Backstage, you can see that there are certain things we can do. But right now, I'm going to click on Options. When I go to Options, I see there's various Excel options. I'm just going to highlight a few that might be a bit more interesting. Going to go to General. You can actually change the default font size, as well as you can change the default font. And if you click on Proofing, you can customize your autocorrect options. So if you're tired of Excel trying to fix your mistakes and making the mistakes worse, you might play around with these little checkboxes as well as auto format as you type. If you click on the Save tab, if you hit the drop-down box for Save File, you can actually save as some ancient format called Excel 2003, 97-2003. Back in the day when you save your Excel files, the extension was actually 3 letters, XLS. Now we have an extra letter at the end, X. If we click on Customize Ribbon, the ribbon, by the way, is the area at the top of your Excel workbook, and contains different tabs such as Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas. You can customize all the different buttons that go into each of these tabs. Notice how the home, insert, page layout tabs all exist. They all are checked. And what I notice here is that the developer tab is not checked because most people don't need it. I'm going to check it and click on OK. So we now see that we have our developer tab, and a lot of these things we won't use unless you go into Excel VBA coding. So to get rid of this developer tab, we can go to the Backstage or the File tab, go to Options and go to the Customize ribbon and unclick it, or you can also right click on the ribbon and go to Customize the ribbon. It's a little bit faster. If you want to create your own custom favorite buttons that you want to be on the ribbon, you can even create a new tab. So when I click on the new tab button, say you really want to change the font color very quickly, I can click on Add. And what about the font as well? Add, as well as New, Add. So these are probably not the most useful custom collection of easy to access buttons, but we'll just assume. And if I click on New Tab Custom, you can rename it, and I'm going to say My Favorite Buttons. Click on OK. You can rename tabs and even have little subgroups. You can have multiple groups as well. And if you don't want the font, you can also remove it. So when I click on OK, we see that we have a tab called My Favorite Buttons. And it contains the group, and I didn't name the group, that's why it's called New Group, but it has font color as well as new. I'm going to right click, customize the ribbon, and I am going to hit the down arrow to move it down. So now that my favorite button will be near the end. And there you go, it's near the end. So I can click through all these tabs to access different buttons, but my favorite buttons are now at the end. Let's right click, customize the ribbon, and I can even delete this. This is obviously not useful, so I click on remove. So it just collapses that out and it's gone. In this Excel 2013 tutorial, let's focus on printing your document onto one page and make it such that it squeezes and fits onto one page. Furthermore, let's practice some key useful shortcut keys. So I'm going to begin by typing in the number 10. So after I type in 10, I'm going to type in 20. And for those of you who recall autofill, you highlight the first two numbers, you look for a black plus sign, and you drag it out. So I'm just going to go yay big up to maybe perhaps 60. I'm going to type in the number 11. I'm going to highlight two numbers. I'm going to drag out the autofill all the way down. So let me just go down to around 46 or so. And you may notice a dotted line, and the dotted line represents that it's going to print on another page. If you don't see this, you might see this if you go to the view tab and just click on page layout. You can clearly see that it's printing on another page. If you click back on normal view, you should see the dotted line. You can even go to File, Print, or Control P, and you can see that it's cutting it off at 40, 50, 60. So what we can do here is choose the printing setting here, no scaling, to fit on one page. So fitting on one page, you can see my document has been shrunk down such that it all fits onto one page. Now, of course, if you have too much information, it's not appropriate to make things shrink down so much such that you can't read the text. So let me press escape or hit this little back arrow button. And let me show you one more thing that's quite interesting. So what's a very useful shortcut key? I'm going to type in Control Arrow key. So when you press Control Arrow key, I want to share this with you. Try moving your selected cell to A1 and now press Control Right. Hold down Control, right arrow. It takes you to the end, to the last to the last column. Now if I press Control left, it takes you back to the beginning, to the first column. Now if I press Control down, it takes you to the cell with the last, it takes you to the last row. And then if I press Control up, it takes you to the first row. Now what's interesting is if I press Control right and then Control right again, it takes me to the last possible column. Control left, left, Control down takes me to the last row, and Control down again takes me to row 1,000,000 plus, which is a huge row. Let's press Control up, up. So the idea of navigating quickly in Excel using the Control arrow key is very useful. Of course, you can always also press page up, page down, page up, page down, which jumps page to page. It can be useful. You can use the arrow keys. Arrow keys are useful for moving one cell at a time. And finally, you can also use your mouse wheel. So the center mouse button, if it's in the shape of a wheel, you can just scroll it and you can fly up and down. And this is also very useful. Let's practice some autofill in Excel 2013. Let's begin by typing in the numbers 1, 2, and here, let me just make this a bit bigger here. And in fact, I can press Control X, which is cut, and I can paste it somewhere else, Control V. So let's press let's try that again. 1, 2. Okay, so let's do autofill. Highlight the first two numbers by clicking and dragging, and then hover your mouse to the bottom right corner until you see this black plus sign. And click and hold down the left mouse button and drag down. So say how you drag it pretty far down until we get 50 numbers. So you see the number 50 there. So you can see that we can very quickly number things. And later on, we're going to learn this concept called mail merge. It'll be useful, say, when you want to print out 50,000 tickets all numbered. It would be impossible, well, not impossible, but it would be extremely time consuming to do things which go on and on and on and on. But for now, autofill is extremely powerful. So I can pretend these are ticket numbers, and we have a bunch of numbers this way. Let's practice some more. Let's try typing the number 10, 20. So Excel is very smart. It figures out the pattern. All you have to do is highlight the first two, drag your mouse until you see the black plus sign in the bottom right corner, click and hold, and drag it out sideways. Notice how we right away immediately have the pattern 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So Excel is quite smart. So let me press Control A, which selects everything, and press Delete. So Control A and then press Delete, deletes everything. Now I wonder how much money you would have if you bet 1 cent and you kept on doubling it for every round in a golf game. So golf game. So round 1, hole 2. So let's autofill this all the way up to 18. So let's go to 18 holes. How much money would you have? Betting a penny is nothing. You just double it on the second hole and double it again, double it again. It couldn't be that much, could it? We'll see. Small change, penny is nothing. So let's try 1 penny. Now here's the thing. We're doubling it every time. So this is not a regular autofill. This is called a growth fill. So for growth fills where the curve is exponential, you don't need to actually type in 2 values. You just need 1 value. You hover to the bottom right corner, get that black plus sign. For growth fills, you actually right click, drag down, and let go, and go to series. Let's choose growth, and the step value is how quickly it grows. So for example, if you want to double your money, you type in 2. If you want to triple your money, type in 3. And if you want to increase your money by, say, 5%, you type in 1.05. This could be useful for calculating compound interest. So if it's 7%, it'd be 1.07. It'd be 13%, it'd be 1.13. But for now, we're going to double our money. Click on OK. Notice how you, instead of left-click autofilling, you right-clicked autofill. Then we did a growth fill, and you can see that we're talking about big money. You'd be betting over $1,000 on the 18th hole, and that's not exactly pocket change unless you're a billionaire. So hopefully you have some insight about autofill, and you could probably answer the same question: how much money would you have if you doubled your money for every square in a checkers board, an 8x8 64 square checkerboard? And it's quite an interesting ability to use autofill. So congratulations, you have some more insight about Excel autofill. Let's practice some more basic formulas. So I begin by typing in some job positions. You can make these up. And I'm going to bold the top two, and let me just make it a bit more pretty. It's just to make it yellow so you can see it nice and clearly. And notice how you can actually drag this a bit wider, column A, or you can even double click between column A and column B just to push it over very quickly. So corporate secretary, let's just say there's a salary of $70,000. That's a nice high number, exalted position. You2 partner, we'll just say you make $100 a year. Clerk, although the range is quite high here. Clerk, we'll just say $30,000. Accountant, we'll just say $40,000. Of course, this ranges vastly as well. Administrative assistant, we'll just say $35,000, and slave, we'll just say $1. Okay, so what kind of formulas can we practice? I'll type in equals. How about average? So what does an average person here makes in terms of these jobs? Equals average bracket, and you can highlight your numbers here and then press enter. You don't even have to close that last bracket. Press enter. So the average money is almost $30,000. Let's press delete. Let's try something else. Now, if I were to aspire to be a slave, I might not really have the full picture of what kind of money I could make if I heard that the average was $30,000 in this graduating class. But probably a better value to have is the concept called median, equals median bracket. So what does a middle person make? So if you actually highlight the numbers and you press enter, the middle person makes 32,500. Alright, pretty close. Now what if these were actual people's names? So person A, person B, person C, D, E, F, and then say there's some rich guy from Mexico who owns all the telecommunications companies, some rich billionaire. How much do they make? We'll just say they make 500 million a year. We'll just pretend. That's a huge number. So if I type in the average equals average bracket and then highlight it all, or you can even click on the home tab and go to the little sigma drop down, equals average equals average, and then it automatically figures out that we're trying to find the average of these numbers. Press enter. So the average person here makes how much? $740,000. That's too much. That's unrealistic for the rest of the people. So this outlier, this one person, skewed everyone's average up to make it seem good, but really the average salary of the graduating class of 2013 was this much money. Wow, sounds great, but really all these people are not doing very well compared to this one person. So a better number to go by is equals median. Equals median is the middle guy. How much did the middle guy make? The middle guy made about $35,000. So that's a very good formula to know. Let's practice another formula. What if you want to add things up? You can type in equals. You can manually click on things. Plus this, plus this, plus this, and you can skip things that you want. Of course, this would be painfully slow. So the idea of using the plus sign is very useful, and you can add things up this way. I think I might have accidentally hit something wrong, but which goes to show you that you really should use the formula called sum. Equals sum. You could click on here, comma, here, comma, here, etc. This would be painful, so you can add up the first three numbers. So of course, if you're trying to add up all the numbers, you really should be dragging. So the colon actually means all the numbers in between, including the endpoints. That's much more effective. Now, another formula you should probably know is the idea of multiplying numbers. So what if you're trying to buy something? If I say the cost, if the cost is, let's say, 99 cents, and then let's figure out the actual tax. So the tax is going to be, let's say, 7%. I'm going to say equals this value times 0.07. So you can see the tax is now around 7 cents. And then, of course, you could format this to be to only show two decimals. I can right-click. In fact, I can highlight both these numbers. I can right-click, go to Format Cells, and I'm not really satisfied with money being represented by this many decimal places. And I'm wasting time. I shouldn't be formatting cells. I should be just clicking on the dollar sign up here, which is a lot faster. Okay, since I already began talking about it, if you right-click Format Cells, you can play with all these options. I was going to just set the decimal places to the 2, and you could do that. Or you can even, if I press Ctrl Z, you can even click on this little accounting number format here, and that's a really fast way of making it look like currency there. Alright, so anyways, we calculated this formula using the star asterisk symbols, equals B10 times 0.07, and there's other symbols as well. If I have the number, you can use the equals this minus this to get the actual difference, and of course you can use the division as well. So equals this divided by this would give you the division amount if you were to divide. So this here, the forward slash means division, the slash going this way. Alright, so we practiced some more basic formulas. We even added some basic formatting to this tutorial. Congratulations, now you have some more basics in Excel. Let's practice working with multiple worksheets in this tutorial, Excel 2013 tutorial. So we begin by having a nice overview sheet. I'm going to type in the word overview, and let me just press Control A, make the font size 20 so you can see this better. So we have an overview worksheet. I'm going to click on the little plus sign here called a new sheet, and I'm going to add one more new sheet. I'm going to rename this one, double click it, I'll call this business A. There's my business A, and double click this. You can call this business B. So say you have two businesses. You can even right click the actual sheet, the worksheet, change the color of it, tab color. I'll make this one red, and I'll make this one right click, tab color. We'll just make it blue. Alright, so I'm going to double click this one, call this overview, and let's click on sheet business A. If you click on the top left corner, you can just change the size of this. Let me just make this a bit bigger. You can even right click a column, and let me change the column with 20 so you can see this better. Okay, so we'll just say this is business A sheet, and we'll just make up some months here: January, February, March. We'll just say that in January we made $3,000. In February we made $4,000. In March we made $3,500. And the total, we'll just hit the auto sum button and press enter, and you can see that the total, let me just bold this, is 10,500. Now I could retype this in business B, but to save time I'm going to right click, I'm going to delete this business B, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to move or copy this. So when I say move or copy, I'm going to move to the end and create a copy and click on OK. You can see it's called business A bracket 2. Double click this and let's call it business B. Press delete, enter, and right click, tab color, let's make it blue. Okay, so we're on the business B sheet, so I'll call this business B. And let's change the numbers up. We'll say business B is making more money. We'll just say 18,000. I wish. Let's say 16,000, and we'll just say 21,000. So you can see the total automatically updates here for business B. The total is lesser for business A. And as for our overview, we're going to say business A and business B. You as the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, wants to have an overview of how things are running with your businesses, your multiple businesses. And so a good way to do this is to type in a formula equals, click on sheet business A, and then click on this actual total number. Notice how in the formula bar you have a formula equals, quotation, business A, quotation, exclamation mark. The exclamation mark means that this is the name of the actual worksheet. See, the worksheets are at the bottom here. B6. So B is column B, row 6. Then press enter. Enter. So you can see here we have the formula connected to information on other sheets. This is an extremely powerful concept that will help you pull information together. So let's do the same thing. Equals. Click on business B. Click on this value and then press enter. So now, say you go to business B and you change a value here. We'll say in March we actually made 50,000. Enter. The total automatically updates here as well as in the overview. You can see the overview value updated as well. And you can write grand total equals sum bracket, and you can drag these two and press enter, and you can always have an up-to-date grand total regardless of which information you update in your other worksheets. So the entire Excel file is called a workbook, and the workbook contains different pages which are called worksheets. Congratulations, you now understand Excel to a deeper level. Thanks for hitting that like button. Let's create a mail merge in Excel. The idea of a mail merge is you have information in one file that you pull into another in a way that saves time. So here I'm in Excel. I'm going to type in ticket number, and I want to create 500. I want to create 200 dance tickets, but this could be 200 or it can even be 200,000. So I'll type in 1, 2. I'll highlight both cells. If you actually use the mouse, you can drag it, or you can even click on the first cell, hold down the shift button and press down arrow. That's good to know. We're going to do autofill. Click on the bottom right corner once you see the black plus sign and drag it down. So we'll say that we have the task of creating 200 tickets, but this could be even in the thousands. So here I'm going to just get 200 tickets. Notice how we're on sheet 1. Let's go File. Let's go Save As. And I'll save to my computer on my desktop. I will call this Tickets. Tickets. Press Enter. So I saved this file called Tickets to my desktop. Now let's open up this program called Publisher. I'm going to go Publisher, File New, and then I'm going to choose Built-in. And then built-in, you can also find some templates online, but sometimes it's time consuming. I'm going to just choose a built-in business card. So we're gonna choose the install template, but the first one is called arrows. That's fine. Double click it, and notice how we have a nice business card here. And if I go File Print, it shows you a nice preview. And by default, we have the business card actually printing 10 cards per page. That's the default. Let me press Escape. Let's just press this little back arrow here and go back to our card. Now you can type in here and make a nice business card, but we want to create dance tickets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually press Control A, which selects everything, press Delete. And this is where you might want to copy some dance picture off the internet and right click paste it here. But for the sake of simplicity, all I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a nice shape here. And the shape I like is this rounded rectangle. So the rounded rectangle, I'm going to just have it like this. Notice how you can change the shape fill color. Going to make the shape fill color white, but it can be any color you wish. And notice how we can just very quickly change the border color. We can even toy around with the shape outline. You can make it dark green. And notice how when you actually type, you can type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and it types right in there. If you go to the Home tab, you can actually choose center text, or Control E. So it would be extremely painful for you to have to manually type 1 and then print it out, type 2, print it out, 3, especially if you have 50,000 tickets. It's not very feasible. You might accidentally print the same number twice or forget a number, and it would be a big problem if you actually gave two different people the same ticket. They'd be fighting over their seat. So this is where we use a mail merge. Rather than manually typing things in, what we do is we go to Mailings, select Recipients. This means we want to actually choose where our information is coming from, and we're going to use an existing list. The existing list is the Excel file. So I'm going to use existing list, and we're going to browse to the desktop because this is where I save the tickets. Notice how as you're browsing, you can press the letter T, it jumps to the letter T. I'm going to click on Open or double click, and now we successfully connected Excel to Publisher. It says where is your information? It's on sheet 1. First row contains column headers. I wrote ticket numbers, which is fine. Everything, all the defaults are good. I will click on OK. So we connected the actual two programs, and it looks like ticket 1, 2, 3, 4 is exactly what I wanted. Click OK again without thinking. Now that you connected the two files, we're going to actually go to Insert Merge Field. This is where I'm going to actually insert the ticket number. Now you may think that this is useless. Well, what are these strange chevron symbols, ticket number? When you actually click on Preview Results, you will see that you can actually click through the triangles here, and you can preview what it's going to actually look like. And it's going to go right to the end of the file. So when we're done, and this looks correct, you can actually go to Finish and Merge, and this is where you would merge to a printer. So if you actually print it to a real printer, it would actually spit them out, and it would spit out in a very automated format, in a very automated form. If you actually print to PDF, if you have a PDF driver, like Qt PDF is a free print driver, it would actually just generate a PDF file. But there's one last key setting we need to change here. So if I zoom in here, notice how it's printing out 42, 42, 42. If I hit the little page next sheet button here, 43, 43, 43, we don't want 10 of the same tickets per page. So therefore there's one last option we need to change here, which is multiple copies per sheet. Change it to multiple pages per sheet. And now if you actually zoom in a bit, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the secret to actually printing out auto-numbered tickets with different ticket numbers. Imagine yourself selling dance tickets. and they're doing a very polished job, as opposed to someone handwriting in all the ticket numbers, which can be extremely time consuming. So we learned about mail merge today. Congratulations, this is one of the more advanced ideas within Excel, and it's most likely to be in a job interview when they're asking about your knowledge about Excel. Congratulations. Let's create a basic mail merge using Excel 2013 and Word. Begin with Excel. We type in some first and last names: Joe Smith, Karen Lee, Anderson Da Silva, Frank Stephenson, or Stevenson. Let's go File, Save As. We're going to call this names.xls. X. We go to Word now, and we're going to say Dear, and what I want to do is Dear first name, you've just won a last name, $1 million. So let's say Dear, and we're going to go to Mailings, select Recipients, use an existing list. The existing list is Excel. So I'm going to go to my desktop and look for the letter N, which has names.xls. And where is all the information? It's on sheet 1. And first row of data contains column headers. Yes, indeed. First and last. Okay. So once we've done this, you go to Insert Merge Field, and I'm going to insert the first name. Dear first, space, last. Dear that person, comma, you've just won $1 billion. Just reply to this letter with your bank account information, and we'll deposit it for you. Smiley face, or how about a wink? A little wink there. So the idea of mail merge is to save time. You type up a huge list of names from Excel, and you can simply print to the printer and mail them all out. If you want to preview this is optional. You can click on this little magnifying glass. You can see it says Dear Joe Smith, next, Dear Karen Lee, next, Anderson Da Silva, and so on, no matter how long your list is. When you click on Finish and Merge, Print Documents, and this is where you print it all. Click on OK, and this is where you choose print to a certain printer, or you can even print to PDF if you have some kind of PDF driver installed. So this is a basic mail merge. Congratulations.
In this Excel 2013 tutorial, let's practice protecting cells and worksheets. Let's begin by highlighting a 3x3 table here. I'm going to just use this little drop-down box for borders. Choose all borders, and we'll make it the color yellow, just because it's pretty. Alright, so we have this very important yellow section here, and we're going to type in LeBron James's jersey numbers. 6, 23, he's undecided as of now, but what we're going to do is type a secret formula. Equals sum bracket, the sum of these two numbers, press enter, is 29. This here is a secret formula. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this 3x3 grid here. We're going to right click and go to Format Cells. Here within the Protection tab, you can see by default it's locked and it's not hidden. So right now it's locked. What does that mean? Locking cells or hiding formulas has no effect until you protect the worksheet. So even though theoretically this is supposed to be locked, it's not really until you protect it. So let's do that. Let's protect this sheet. Let's click on the Review tab and go to Protect Sheet. Protecting the sheet refers to this one sheet, whereas if you had multiple sheets and you want to protect the entire workbook, you would choose the second option. Let's protect this sheet and see what happens. So I'm going to click on Protect Sheet, and by default we have the first two options selected. Allow all users of this worksheet to select lock cells, select unlock cells. So by default they're still allowed to select these things here. So anyways, let's protect the sheet and see what happens. My password is cat. Please don't hack me. And I have to re-enter my password, cat. Alright, so theoretically this sheet is now protected. You can see the button now says unprotect sheet, so it means that we are protected. What does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to try to click on LeBron James's possible number here, 6, and I'm going to change it to a 7. There's a little pop-up error that says you are trying to change this cell and it's on a protected sheet. So this is great because now our sheet is protected. And you can see now on the number 23, I try to change it. I click outside of this little yellow area and try to change it, and the entire sheet is protected. Now the question is, how do I only protect a certain part? What if I want to leave every single part of the sheet protected except for the yellow area? The yellow area I actually do want to change. Let's see how to do that. So let me begin by unprotecting the sheet here. You can unprotect the sheet by typing in the password. And what we're going to do here is going to highlight this information, the yellow part. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Format, and we are going to unlock these cells. So now it is no longer locked. So even though I protect the entire sheet, this particular range of yellow cells is no longer locked. It's no longer protected. Let's see what happens. So you can see I'm going to protect the sheet here. I'm going to click on OK. Got to type in a password here, cat. Okay. So now I protected the sheet with a password, but remember that to this particular range we did not protect it. So let's see what happens if I click outside of this little grid here, type in cat, not loud, or what if I click inside here and I type in dog? You can see that this particular range is not protected. Now what if I do want to protect it? So let's begin by unprotecting the sheet. I'm gonna highlight everything by clicking on this top corner here. I'm gonna right click anywhere inside here. Go to Format Cells. So for the entire sheet, I want to leave it unlocked. I'm gonna click on it until it becomes unchecked. Click on OK. So everything is not protected except this time I want to protect only the yellow part. So I'm going to highlight the yellow part here, right click, Format Cells, and we're going to lock just the yellow part. Click on OK. So now we're going to protect it with a password. And you can see now this other area, I can type in whatever I want. It's not really protected. And here, LeBron James's number, I'm going to try to change it to 16. I'm not allowed. Now here, now I feel more secure about my worksheet here. I'm going to click on cell 29. This is supposed to be protected, but this formula here might be proprietary. This is something you might want to hide. How in the world did we come up with this magical number 29? I don't want to reveal my formula. The formula here, by the way, is simply that these two numbers added. But what if I want to hide the formula? So let's unprotect this sheet here. I'm going to highlight this yellow box. I'm going to right click, go to Format. And within the Protection tab, you can also choose Hidden. What's hidden? The formulas are going to be hidden. So click on OK. And when we protect it with a password, now when I try to click on the actual cell here that contains a formula, notice how the formula bar here does not contain the formula. It is hidden. And for the sneaky person who might try to click on this information here and try to copy it, even they right click and they try to copy, they still won't be able to pull out that formula that you came up with this number with. In fact, you can even prevent them from copying and selecting cells in the first place. So let's finish off this tutorial with preventing the user from even selecting the information whatsoever. So we're going to go to Unprotect Sheet, type in the password, and go to Protect Sheet. And right now, users are allowed to select lock cells and unlock cells. But let's even take away that privilege. So they can't even select cells. So let's type in a password here. And so now, notice how when I click on a cell, I can't even select this information. There's no way I can copy this. Now, of course, I can take a screenshot, but we've accomplished our purpose, which is to protect cells and our worksheets. Congratulations.
How do you password protect your Excel workbook in Excel 2013? What we do is you actually go to File, and you go to Protect Workbook. Click on that, encrypt with a password, and then you type in a password. I'm going to type in the password CAT, C-A-T, press OK, and it's going to ask you to re-enter the password, C-A-T, OK. So now we have successfully protected our workbook. Let me click on the little back arrow here. Just a little tip, if you do ever have to protect your Excel document for some confidential reason, for example, if you have some patient information, please don't choose the password or 12345 or any plain dictionary word. It's not a good idea. Alright, now you have the ability to password protect your Excel files. Let's practice hiding and showing columns in Excel 2013. We have some information about students, including a secret column. So let's right-click the column and go to Hide. Now, surprisingly, if you right-click column A or C, we don't get the option to unhide. It just doesn't work. So how do we get it back? The secret is to highlight both columns, one to the left, one to the right of it, and right-click Unhide. That's how we get it back. So if I press Ctrl Z to go back to the hidden state, notice there's column A and there's column C. What happened to column B? It's hidden. You now have the power to hide columns. Let's practice named ranges in Excel 2013. Begin by typing out some bills and their amounts. And normally, when you type in total, so I'll type in the word total, you would go something like equals sum bracket, and you would highlight these actual numbers and press enter. So that's one way of doing it. Now notice how we're referring here to cell D9, and this time we're going to try it a different way. I'm going to press delete. I'm going to actually, instead of doing it the traditional way, I'm going to actually highlight these numbers and give these range of numbers an actual name. If you click in this little name box, click here, let's type in bills and press enter. So now this range of cells is referred to by bills. So if I go equals sum bills, and notice how if I type in the letter B-I-L, Excel gives me a hint of what it should be. I can even double click it and it will fill in the rest. So if I say equals sum bills, you can see that's another way of doing it. So the idea of referring to a group of cells by name is interesting and powerful. Let's try one more thing here. What if we forgot a bill? If I right-click on one of the rows here and go Insert, and let's add a bill called Internet, and say the Internet bill is $50. Notice how the total automatically updated. The amount updated even though I'm referring to bills. So here, if I highlight all the bills here, we are still referring to bills. Let's format as table here in Excel 2013. We begin by typing in some students as well as their grades. We highlight this information and click on Format as Table. let's just choose one of these pre-made templates. I'm going to click on one of these. That looks nice. And we make sure that the checkbox My Table Has Headers indeed is checked because we have student and grade. Click on OK. These are our headers. Now by clicking on the header, there's a little drop-down box. Notice how we can actually sort alphabetically A to Z, and the grades as well as the names get sorted properly. And we can hit the drop-down box. We can even sort the Z to A in reverse alphabetical order. Now imagine if one of the students dropped out of your course. You can have Henry and Jane leave the course, click on OK, and later they rejoin the course. So let's actually click on the drop-down box. You can simply recheck them. This is better than permanently losing all their grades and informations. Click on OK. So you can see that we can very easily create a very pretty table using this Home tab. Format as table. We can filter out actual students by unclicking these checkboxes, and we can also sort very easily. Let's practice spark lines in Excel 2013. We have some information here about salespeople, Bob, Jane, Henry, and we see their performance in the different months. And when you want to create a graph, that's what a spark line is. A spark line is a mini graph that fits into one cell. So let me just click here. I'm going to just write the word trend. So let's try to find what the trend is. I'm going to go to Insert. You can see there's regular graphs here, or regular charts. And over here, this is a spark line. I'm going to click on Line. It's going to say, where's your data? For Bob, our data is here. And it's going to say, where's the location? The location is F2, F, column F, row 2, it's correct. So click on OK. Notice how we can visually see how Bob is doing in his sales. And spark lines are pretty smart. You can use autofill, move the mouse until you see a small black plus sign, and click and drag. And you can see that it fills it in for the rest. Let's press Control Z or Control Z. You can even highlight the entire section here and go Insert, Spark Line, and notice how the location range already is correct. F2 all the way to F4, whereas the data range now refers to everything here. Click on OK, and we did it all in one shot. Let's press Control Z. Notice how spark lines can also work for columns. So let me just do it in the reverse way now. Let me highlight my data, click on Column, and you can see the data range is correctly selected. Now the location range is going to be here where I actually want my spark lines to be placed. Click on OK, and pow, we have mini chart bar graphs. Now what about negative numbers? Let's try -5. What does that mean? Well, you can see that the negative number kind of goes below this imaginary line here. What about if I delete these spark lines, or I can actually clear everything here using the eraser tool. And let's try going Insert, Win-Loss. What does that mean? So my data range is going to be here, and click on OK. So for win-loss, it just refers to whether you win or lose. In the case where you lose, you see a red bar, whereas if you win, you get blue bars. So this is what a spark line is, mini graphs that fit into one cell. Let's practice freezing panes in Excel 2013. So begin with some information. Imagine having the last name, the first name, as well as some notes. Now in the case where the notes go way off the screen and you're scrolling very far through the columns, it may be handy to always keep track of which student or which particular information we're working with. So in this case, I want to actually keep track of the first and last names. So what I do is I click on C1 and go to View, Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. And by doing that, by clicking on C1, I automatically freeze the first two columns. So now when I scroll to the right, you can see that I can always see the first and last names, regardless if I scroll very far to the right. Now let's go to Freeze Panes, Unfreeze Panes. What happens if I click on C3? Go to Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. You can see that because my C3 cell was selected, freezing panes actually draws a line like an plus sign here as well as here. So as I scroll down, you can see that row 1 and 2 are frozen, and so is column 1, A and B. So I'm going to freeze panes, unfreeze panes. You can see there's also the option of freezing panes, the top row, as well as the first column. So if I freeze panes the first column, that's a fast way of doing that. And this is a very useful technique for keeping track of making sure that you're working with the correct row or column. Let's practice some conditional formatting here in Excel 2013. So we have a list of students and their grades, and the idea of conditional formatting is that it draws attention to certain data based on a certain condition being met, and this can save you time, especially if your list of information is very long. So for the sake of simplicity, let's work with this data. I'm going to highlight all the grades, go to conditional formatting, and choose Highlight Cell Rules. I want to just really pay attention to values that are less than 50. So I'll type in 50, and you can see already we see the values that are less than 50 are light red. However, we can even change this to custom format. Let's go to Fill, and let's make the fill color yellow, and let's make our font bold. We can even choose a border. So if I choose a border that has an outline and click on OK and OK, you can see that we applied multiple formatting to these values. Now the nice thing about conditional formatting, and you can tell if someone actually did use conditional formatting, is if the value 44 now is changed to 84 and you press enter, this range of data has conditional formatting applied to it, but now that the condition is no longer being met, it is no longer formatted. If I change the value to 36, enter, you can see that these values actually automatically get formatted. This is what the conditional formatting is about. Now let me try highlighting this information here and go to conditional formatting. You can even choose color scales. So if I choose the first option, automatically you see that the green represents larger numbers and the red represents lower numbers, and you can play with other things as well. We can even go to conditional formatting, clear rules, so we can clear rules from these selected cells or the entire sheet. So let's go to conditional formatting, try something else. Let's try data bars. So if you like the color blue, you can visually see how big these values are. This almost reminds me of spark lines or spark charts. Let's press Ctrl Z to undo. And let's try one more thing here, icons. If you like these cute little wireless bars or even these traffic lights, it kind of shows where students fall. The green lights representing higher grades and red lights representing lower grades. So congratulations, you now have a flavor for conditional formatting. It can lead to a lot of possibilities in terms of seeing information, visualizing it a bit better. Let's spend some time understanding comments and hyperlinks. We begin by typing in some different phone brands here, and I'm going to add a little comment. When I right-click the word Android, I'm going to insert a comment. And notice how there's a nice pop-up box. I'm going to say this brand is owned by the company Google. And notice how it has your name here, and we can resize the size of the comment. And when you click off of the cell, all we see is a small tiny red triangle at the top right corner of the cell. When I hover over it with my mouse, you can see there's your comment. So if you ever see an Excel workbook that has a red tiny triangle, there's a comment there hiding, waiting for you to look at it. If I right click, you can even edit the comment and you can change it. Now let's add a hyperlink. I'm going to right click the cell, the text that I want to add a hyperlink to. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to hyperlink, and if I type in www.google.ca or google.com, notice how Excel automatically adds http://, which is hypertext transfer protocol. That's kind of something that we don't have to worry about now that Excel 2013 adds that in for you. Click on OK. You can see that this is now clickable. If I click on this link, it actually takes you to Google, and here we are at Google. We can right click the hyperlink and remove the hyperlink. We can even edit the hyperlink and change the actual URL or the website address. So let's right click and remove it. Now I'm going to actually find some picture off the internet. I'm going to right click, copy Google's logo. Going to paste it back in Excel. I'm going to right click, paste. So Control V would be good to use. So here we just pasted some random picture from the internet. If I right click, you can choose hyperlink, and then once again you can make it go to google.com, and let's see if that works. Click on OK, and we get the error, the address of the site is not valid. Check the address and try again. So as you right click, edit the hyperlink, it's important to type in www.google.worldwideweb.google.com. OK, and now you can see that hand. We're ready to connect your spreadsheet with the rest of the world. Excellent.